What's up, guys? So a subscriber asked me to speak on the Eddie and Thor beef. Before I get started, shout out Etowah Barbell Club. Um, Old coach Dustin Reed there. I'm going to put his contact information in the description. Given everything that's going on right now, he has coaching slots available. He typically does not ever have coaching slots available. So again, I will put his contact information below. He's a friend of mine. He coached me before. He runs a gym. Times are hard for everybody right now. So I don't want to guilt anybody into anything, but if you are one who is able and is looking for a solid coach and or wants to buy t-shirts or something to help out somebody in the powerlifting community who does this for a living and is also struggling right now, go for it. If not, I understand. We all understand, but it's there. You're not gonna typically get a coaching slot open from Dustin. So that said, the Thor and Eddie beef, I've been loosely following. I don't get into it a whole lot now. There's been some extra time on probably everybody's hands lately. I think that's contributing to some of it. Anyway, it's, Thor was training for the World's Ultimate Strongman, where he was going to attempt, 501 kilo deadlift to break Eddie Hall's, 500 kilo record. So I guess there's been talks of Thor. He's gotten with some of the World Ultimate Strongman officials and is going to basically host an event in his home gym with officials there with calibrated plates and a deadlift bar. I think a deadlift bar. Whatever kind of bar. Eddie had the same kind of bar. I think it was a deadlift bar. Anyway, excuse my lack of knowledge on every little single detail, but that's the gist of it. And from what I've seen, talked about, reported, that they are going to bring in like brand new calibrated plates, and they're going to unbox them on camera to show that nothing's been tampered with or anything like that. So Eddie is saying that this should not count as a world record. You're doing it in your basement on your own time, even if there's officials. I think he said something about Icelandic people, you can't trust them or something like that. You guys probably have read way more in this than I have. So I'm just going to give like a generic kind of overview, broad opinion of it, because I can see both sides of it. I really can. And Ed even said something about, if the Olympics were canceled and, I went out to a track and sprinted, a 400 meter in a world record time, give me my gold medal or something like that. And, there's a little bit of a point to be made there. So the biggest two things I see here, in terms of Eddie's position, I get it. Records, should be set on a bigger stage. It's better for the public. It's, it's more, it has a more legitimate feel to it. There's even been discussion of world records in powerlifting being broken at, backyard meets versus like a more big time national level meet and things like that. So I get that side of it. I see that. On the other side, weight is weight. So long as the plates are calibrated, it's the same kind of bar. There are actual officials there judging it. I mean, it's hard to delegitimize that just because there isn't a big crowd around. Now, the one thing, the psychology of it certainly makes it different. There's different stressors when you're competing against others. So, if I'm not mistaken, Eddie Hall did his deadlift at Europe's Strongest Man. Somebody, David, can correct me below. But he only did the deadlift event. He didn't do the whole show. Again, if I'm not mistaken. But still, there was competitors there, but it was always going to be kind of an Eddie is going for 500 kilos. I think Jerry Pritchett and Benedict Magnuson attempted 500 after him. Neither one of them got really close. So I'm not sure how much of the actual, I've got to beat the other competitors was playing in his head, because he wasn't doing a full show. He was just doing a deadlift. But there's, extra stressors involved when there's actual competition. Which, like Thor at this most recent Arnold pulled, over 1,000 pounds to win the event, and opted not to pull again because he had the event win. So there was no need for him to try to pull anything bigger than that, in terms of winning the competition. So that being in a competition plays part of it. Again, Eddie was just doing deadlift. He wasn't doing a full strongman show. So it's a little bit apples to oranges there. But, the crowd, the psychology of it, other people doing their attempts in between your attempts, versus Thor is basically going to be able to do this on his own time, warm up how he wants to, kick back and relax for a few minutes, without having somebody say, hey, it's going to be your turn next, things like that. So it's potato. And then on the other side of it there, the thrill, the adrenaline of a crowd often leads to being able to perform better. So one could say that Thor doing it in his basement puts him at a disadvantage because there is no crowd adrenaline to feed off of. And it is real, even on a smaller level, at a powerlifting meet, at a local meet, with 30, 40 strangers out in the crowd, 40, 50, 60 competitors watching you, 100 eyeballs on you. You can feel the energy in the room, and it plays a part. I can only imagine, a much larger scale, it being even more of a factor. So I've even seen the argument of Thor being at a disadvantage here by not having that crowd adrenaline to play off of. And I can buy that too. So I'm on the fence. I'm not going to take a decided, one person's right, one person's wrong. Just as a competitor, I can see both sides of it, from the competitive standpoint. And I probably, if I'm leaning one way or the other, there is officials. The weights are going to be calibrated. It's going to be the right weight. All the equipments are going to be the same. There's going to be outside third-party officials judging it. If he pulls 501, he did not pull 501. And I think it is going to be listed as an official event, a strongman event, not necessarily a competition. So I'd lean slightly more to the side of it being a legit record than not. Now, on top of all of that, in terms of Eddie and his shenanigans, this is how he makes a paycheck now. His following, his sponsors, his YouTube ad revenue, among other things. So it's in his best interest to stay in the limelight, and cause controversy, and draw in a crowd. And we all know, on social media, beefs tend to do that, and talking shit and all that. So I see why he's doing it. And, realistically, his 500 kilo deadlift, he'll always be the first one to do it. So that's never going anywhere. But, he's really been hanging on to that really hard, and for good reason. Again, it's how he makes a living. However, from a competitive standpoint, like, bro, if go get your record back if Thor breaks it. I know what Eddie went through to get it, and I know he said he didn't want to do it again, and I'm sure his wife doesn't want him to do it again. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't blame him one bit. He's been there, he's done it, he's conquered everything there is to conquer. But, you know, if you're going to sit here and bitch about somebody breaking your record or try to say it's not legitimate or something like that, go out there and make it bigger. Just from a pure competitive standpoint, that's what you can do. Like, you can, okay, you pulled 501. I'm going to go pull 510 or 515. I don't know that Eddie has it in him. Certainly not right now. It would take a lot of preparation and time, and it, you know, would probably take more years off his life than he has already sacrificed off his life. So I would understand why one wouldn't, and I understand again why he just likes to talk shit and drag it out. But purely from a competitor standpoint, like, if you don't like it, go back and get your record. So that's kind of me. Sorry for the late cut. Not a pro YouTuber move there. My phone rang. Yeah, I YouTube off my phone. So yeah, but again, me kind of riding the fence. I would certainly have no problem recognizing Thor's world record should he pull 501 with officials and calibrated plates. And if Eddie has that much problem with it, go pull 502 or better when it's done. Assuming Thor were to pull the 501. This is all assuming he made it happen. If he doesn't make it happen, I can only imagine the onslaught on social media that Eddie's going to bring should Thor, you know, fail to hit 501 in his, you know, gym basement strongman event there. So let me know what you guys think. Peace.